Hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of Links for Life. And I think today's episode is really important for so many of us who love golf and are immersed in the golf world. And perhaps golf is part of your family's culture. Because today we're going to be talking about parenting a junior golfer. And I have as my guest Justin Beard, who is the director of golf at the Greenbrier Sporting Club. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring him on is because he is parenting a really good junior golfer, and he is the director of golf. And if there's anybody who would be tempted to increase pressure, it would be someone like Justin, whose career is in golf and is raising a really talented golfer. It would be so easy to build your identity around golf. And Justin is in that world. And yet he's chosen a different path when it comes to this. And as we talk about in this episode, parenting a junior golfer, I think Justin has exactly the right perspective that all of us can learn from, regardless of where our kids are in the golf world, or regardless of where we hope they might go, that we can be parents to help reduce pressure and create fun around this incredible game of golf. So I'm so glad to have Justin on board for today's episode of Links for Life. This has been an episode I've been looking forward to doing for a long time because it touches at the heart of, I think, golf for so many people, and also my journey in golf, both as I've played over the years, but particularly as I brought golf into our family life, raising golfers, both sons, at different places in terms of their golf, and seeing particularly how challenging golf is on a different level from almost every other sport, both for kids who are getting into it and parents trying to figure out how to manage and deal with all the complexities of raising kids who love golf in the various ways. So I brought on a good friend, Justin Beard. Justin has been the director of golf at the Sporting Club since 2016, I believe it is. But his golfing career goes all the way back. He is a graduate of Concord University. And from there, he came to the Greenbrier Resort and has worked his way through all levels of golf there and at the many resorts that the Greenbrier is a part of. So he has been the director, head instructor of golf at the Jim Jamison Golf School at Glade Springs, which is one of the Greenbrier properties or sister properties. He's been director of golf at Glade Springs and then moved over and has been involved both at the Greenbrier Resort and at the Sporting Club, which is the private membership of the Greenbrier. So he has been involved in all aspects of the golfing industry, and as a teacher, as a head professional, and been involved in so many things. So I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself. And before we kind of get into the meat of it, I just found out you just came back from the Ryder Cup. Were you and your son? So yeah. I got to hear, what was that like? It was amazing. I watched almost every minute of it.
It was incredible. The build out was totally extreme and complex. And you just can't imagine how many people are following around 16 golfers, 12 golfers so when we first got there on Friday, we kind of were leisurely. We wanted to just kind of figure it out. It was our first time in New York City.
Wow.
So for my son's 18th birthday, I was like, I'm going to take you to the Ryder Cup. We're going to stay in New York City. It was awesome. So for myself, I don't like to rush into anything. I need to know where everything's located, and I got to feel really comfortable It's just my personality. So we take our time. We get to Bethpage through the LIRR, which is the Long Island Railroad, through Penn Station out of the city. Okay. Well, that takes some time. So we caught Patrick Cantley and Xander Schauffele on hole number 15. And this is, they're the final match. Everybody else was already blown out in foursomes, but, they're half through 15 holes, right? So we get there and everybody is following them in. And so that was our first experience. It's like, oh my gosh, there are 50,000 people watching 4 golfers. And it was the most intense, incredible. Everything was it was exactly what you wanted to see. It was perfect.
Completely electric.
Oh, the first shot I see is Xander on the green of 15. I don't know if you remember this shot, but Patrick hits his shot short of the green. Victor Hovland misses the green on the right. His foursomes partner is Rob McIntyre. Xander chips up, and as soon as he chips up, everybody in the crowd's like, ooh, because it looks like he overhit the chip shot by 8-9 yards.
Wow.
But it rolls up on the crest of the hill, and then it rolls back down to the hole, 3 or 4 feet. And that's our first thing, is we're there and we're just feeling that intensity of everybody going, oh, and it gets loud. So we watch them in. That really sets the stage for us for the rest of the time we're there. Just pure intensity, total electricity. Obviously right now, a lot of things that are being said is, were there some lines crossed? And, unfortunately and absolutely, but I still wouldn't take it back. I loved every second moment, the whole thing. So yeah, it was incredible.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, it was one of the most unbelievable comebacks that I've ever seen, and competitive spirits. And, when I think about that and even think about this episode, because part of what we're talking about with junior golfers is learning how to compete, and seeing our guys come back the way they did on Sunday, when it could have turned out terribly. I mean, it could have just turned out to be, so embarrassing. And that's one of the things golf has this unique ability to do, is to embarrass you. And to see them come back, and to know, having played amateur competitive golf, what it's like to try to hit a straight putt, when the nerves are there. It just blew me away. Yeah, that is incredible. And, hearing that you took your son Tyler there for his 18th, one of my very special moments in golf is when I took my son Alex to Pebble Beach for his 16th birthday to play. And that kind of connection, of having that kind of experience. And I've had similar kinds of experience of playing in tournaments with my son Chris. And it just is, again, something that's unique about golf that I so love, and I think is also part of what this podcast, Links for Life, is about. So
Right.
That's great. All right, so now I have to back up and I've introduced you a little bit, but tell those who are listening a little bit about your background, growing up in golf, kind of what you've done that's kind of led you to this point.
So golf was an outlet for me. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. And my connection to golf and the Greenbrier were from my grandparents. My grandparents are, Gene and Mary Alice Beard from Lewisburg, West Virginia. They were members of the Greenbrier Hotel whenever it was the Greenbrier Hotel Golf and Tennis membership. And what better way to get out of the heat of Texas than to visit your grandparents in the summer? So I would come up from Texas, and my parents and grandparents all get together, and you spend a couple months in West Virginia. And it was awesome. Playing baseball, played football, did as many of the Texas things that you would kind of stereotypically think about. and golf wasn't one of them until I kind of figured out I had a real drive for it. Being associated with the Greenbrier, especially whenever I was associated with the Greenbrier, the Greenbrier had this real heyday of time with golf in that early 2000, in the Tiger boom, the resort was booming, just some incredible stuff was happening. So now I got into it by being a caddy at the Greenbrier whenever I was 17 and 16. And I got to caddy for Meg Mallon, who won the 2001 U.S. Women's Open.
Yeah.
I got to caddy for Kurt Byram in the CSX Challenge. So, like, every time I turned around, like, golf was always giving me some really fun things, interesting people to meet. It was just nice. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna try it, and it was everything you wanted out of it. It was, I learned quickly. I played a lot quickly.
So was this like around 16, 17?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. 16.
Okay. So you didn't play a lot when you were younger than that.
No, I think it was in its most casualness, probably with my dad,
right?
Wanting to drive the cart. I remember that. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Go with my dad to the golf course so I can drive the cart. And then I remember, like, hole number 2 had all this water in front that you had to force carry. And nothing was more fun than hitting, like, his Ping I2 persimmon black driver. And, Dad, can I try to hit it over the water? It was like 120 yards, 100 yards carry. And, he's like, okay, yeah, I got my water balls, and I'd dump a couple in there. And, that was kind of the fun of it.
Yeah.
Usually the golf didn't really last much longer. I was probably 8, 9, 10, 11, who knows, somewhere in there, just kind of casually being a part of it. And then I remember playing football in high school, and sport gained a different direction for me. It was more of a, practice, attention to detail. How am I getting better? I remember going in the weight room whenever I was at Taft High School, and the nose tackle, Micah, was squatting like 500 pounds. And I'm like, this is the strongest person I've ever seen in my life. And I'm squatting like 190 pounds, which at that time was probably my body weight. And I was just, that's the drive. The guy next to you is what's driving you.
Yeah.
Wearing golf, your drive is wanting to just be better. Like, I don't want to take a 5 on number 2 anymore. I want to take a 4 on that hole,
Yeah. The practice isn't painful in golf like it can be in the other sports.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The only pain in golf is typically mental. Like, why did I just do that? I know better than to do that. My body knows better than to do that, but I can't stop doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's kind of where I was. 17, I'm down in Texas. We're playing in what's called like the city locals before you go to regionals. I think I shoot like 81. I don't make it to regionals, but I had a hole in one on the 6th hole at the golf course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, like, I remember my name being written on the scoreboard, like, hole in one, Justin Beard, hole number 6, 196. It was really, so there's just these moments that are just like, they're incredible moments that just kept pushing me to just continue and to be better. So I ended up getting a golf scholarship. I played golf in college, loved every moment of it, knew at a very early stage, is like, golf is what I want to do. Worked at the Greenbrier, had great mentors with, oh my gosh, I have so many, but Robert Harris, Hill Herrick, Burt Bain. I've had some really great friends in the game with Jamie Hamilton. Another one of my bosses and really guy who led me a long way was Mike James. So it's surrounding yourself with some really great people, got really fortunate, great breaks, and just kept pushing, just loved it.
That's really neat. And I think golf does have that a kind of deep mentoring place that you just tend to find some people who love to come alongside younger people and lead them. And I find just in general, and it's maybe a great generalization, but there's also just that character piece of what people want to build in golfers. And I think that's a unique thing that I appreciate. But I guess in one sense, to transition it, I'm also really aware, particularly in the last, couple of decades, how the intensity with which people enter into golf, and very often coming from the parent side, goes way beyond that kind of character building to a very kind of sad, destructive level. And
Yeah.
I've seen that also, and I think that's kind of one of these challenges. As now, I think coming out of the Tiger era, there are more parents who want to start their kids really early because they have that vision of that 3-year-old Tiger who could swing a golf club, and they think, oh, I've got the next Tiger,
Right.
with that.
God, don't we love Scotty Scheffler? I
Yeah.
mean, don't we absolutely love Scotty Scheffler? He was at the Open Championship, he gets tons of media attention. I mean, he should. He's the number one player in the world, but don't we love how he said how, winning golf tournaments doesn't define him?
Yeah.
Just every time you turn around, you look at this guy, Scotty Scheffler, and he is just absolutely leading from the front. And he's totally in tune with current state of mentality, where Tiger's mentality was, I'm going to do everything I can to win. And
Yeah.
Scotty says, I'm going to prepare my very best to win. But winning doesn't define me. I love the preparation. And if I prepare like I know I can, then I will be a winner at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you could see in the Ryder Cup, I mean, he is an intense competitor. It isn't because he just doesn't care. He just has a different value system. And I think it's also interesting because, at least as I'm familiar with the story, his parents went to extreme levels to sacrifice to enable Scotty to pursue golf from a young age. And yet somehow they were able to do that in such a way that it didn't overwhelm him to where he lost the sense of what was important in life. So, they weren't just laid back, we're just going to let this happen, and we happen to have a child who really cares about it. They were very, very intentional, obviously in some really right way in terms of how they parented him as a golfer.
Well, I think his conviction to faith is massive.
Yeah.
That is such an identifier in his life and such an indication of where he does his best work, is the value of religion, and what he does next is what leads him to where he's going, which is nice. And well, that's the perception.
Yeah. I have to think it's actually the reality. I wonder if he didn't have that foundation to who he was, whether he'd be the golfer that he is, because it allows him a perspective and a calmness in the midst of what he's doing that few people have. So I think that's really interesting. Well, one of the things that was fun just recently, and it was in the last episode of Links for Life, we did a live broadcast at the Hope golf classic, Hope Church Golf Classic, and we were able to bring on a bunch of the golfers that play, and they talked about, some of their favorite moments, craziest shots and things like that, but they also talked about the lessons in golf. And this was across a really wide spectrum of golfers. And I noticed they talked about things like, man, I learned to not take it so seriously. I learned humility. I learned patience. I'm learning to manage my anger, all of these different things. And these were golfers of all ages, all different abilities. And it really highlighted, in a sense, about how challenging this game is. And what that made me think about then was, wow, if we as supposedly mature adults have that hard a time keeping golf in perspective, how in the world do we expect young kids to keep this in perspective? And so, and I know it's hard. I've seen it from every angle. I've seen kids just melt under it. And of course, watching as a parent, your child, with the challenges of competition. So I'd love for you to just kind of begin to talk about parenting junior golfers, and perhaps from two different angles. One is what you've seen in terms of coaching and teaching junior golfers, and you've done some high-level junior golfers. But then what is it like as a parent needing to wear a different hat for junior golfers? What that's a big, broad question, but that's what we want to dive into with today.
Okay, so I like I was saying earlier in the podcast, I grew up in sports, and from football to baseball to then transitioning into golf. And I'll tell you the one area that I felt like I was not great at that golf teaches, and what I'm really big about teaching club to junior golfers, I want to teach them that the club is a very great space to live in, that club atmosphere are your future connections to life.
And you're not talking about the golf club. You're talking about
I'm
talking
space. About the golf club. Yeah, the golf club. Right. Yeah, the club, the course, the pool, the workout, wherever you're at, if you're a part of a club.
Right.
What that feels like. And these clubs can be public, private, resort, whatever. It all has very genuine connection. But the number one thing that I was not great at was winning with humbleness. I remember winning some events and wanting to just continue to talk about it. And just here recently, Scotty Scheffler talks about, like, when you win a golf tournament, you only get that win for a day. 15 minutes of fame. And then it's like, well, are you going to win next week?
Yeah.
But I remember whenever I won a few events, I just felt so braggish. And one of my close friends in golf, his name's Jamie Hamilton. I remember how humble he was with the things that he did and the greatness that he was. And I learned that late. I mean, I learned that late. And I think that some of that kind of stalled me out because I wanted to win so badly for the feeling of winning.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I really dig into my son, Tyler. And off of that, I dig into my juniors is, you've got to learn how to win with humbleness. As well as you got to understand that when you hit a great golf shot, that it's expected. You've been there before. You've done this before. You've hit thousands upon thousands of golf balls. I mean, how many times have you dinged it off the driving range flag stick? So just because you're out on the golf course and you stick it to 3 feet, 2 feet, goes in the hole, like those are all pieces of what we're learning in golf is winning with humbleness, act like you've been there before, and then losing with dignity. Um, I feel like that, in my opinion, is what golf is kind of the greatest at.
Yeah, that's such a contrast, and as you say that, I go, you're talking about what I think most of us think as two contradictory things. You're talking about humility on one end with utter confidence on the other end, and I think that
100%.
that is like, well, I don't know how to do that. I mean,
Right.
confidence is, braggadocious as of it, and humility, you don't think well of yourself. And I think you're actually right on the money with that. But that is a nuance of the mental game of golf
Right.
for juniors and for adults. And I think it's just such a difficult challenge to coach.
Yes. And that's when you coach preparation. That's why you spend all that time doing everything you do and nobody's watching.
Yeah.
And that's why you're hitting golf balls and you're having fun with your friends. And then after they leave, you're chipping till dark. It's what they don't see you doing that gives you the confidence to be humble. In your mind, you've made thousands of 3-foot putts. And when you make that 3-foot putt, you knew it was going in, but you don't tell everybody you knew it was going in. You just knew it with your confidence, and your confidence is what should be exuding, not your words.
Well, and if you have that kind of confidence that comes from the preparation, then that also helps that you really aren't bragging about it because, well, I just worked hard to get there.
Right.
It's
Right.
not because I'm anything special. I just did the work.
Right.
Yeah. And I also love, because I think it's so in the center of life as we try to grow it, that it's the things that we do in secret that play into the rest of our lives and how we perform and who we are. And I don't think that's given nearly enough credence in terms of things.
No, I agree.
How do you begin to instill those two contradictory things? I mean, you tell them. Do you find that you do that because you are walking around a golf course a lot, or are those conversations that are happening on a range? Or are they in response to situations, or all of the above?
Yeah. So, how do we parent the junior golfer?
Right.
I'm in a little bit of a different situation since I'm a golf professional with a junior golfer.
Right.
But I still try very hard to take these realms for me, like try to live in these two different bodies of work. And one of them is, as parents, you just got to be guardrails. You got to be the guardrails. If your junior golfer is going offline too much, you just got to bring him back to center, and that can be where they might be playing so much golf that they're getting disenfranchised, and you're the guardrail to say, no, you're doing a lot of great stuff, just keep it up, buddy, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
Right. Or if you're the parent that sees your junior not going out enough, and that's whenever you're asking him, hey, I haven't seen you out at the golf course lately, do you need a ride, or your buddy's playing with you? You're the guardrail to bring them in and out, like however they need you.
That's a great image of the guardrails. And that is an incredibly difficult place for a parent to play, because the guardrails, if you think about guardrails, they can either be, very wide, or they can be in very tight. And that takes a lot of discernment on the parent's part to know how wide or narrow those guardrails need to be for a particular child and that child's personality, and even what that child's goals might be.
Yeah. The number one thing I like to say to Tyler when we are at a golf event, because everybody knows me. I've got my like little trifold stool. I never ride in a cart. I walk out in front. I sit, and I'm typically taking a lot of pictures and videos for memories,
Yeah.
memories and content. But the first thing that I say when we get in a car, if he's won the tournament or if he finished with a 3-putt, is, hey man, what do you want to eat?
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Every time. Hey man, what do you want to eat? And that came from T-ball. Whenever he was playing T-ball and junior minors and elementary basketball, hey man, what do you want to eat? Because I remember early in his sports life, we had moments of saying, why did you fumble the ball whenever the ground ball got hit to you? What does he know? He's 6. I don't know. I don't know, Dad. It just hit my glove the wrong way. I don't know, Dad. And then I'm like, why am I asking him such an in-depth question? Like, how about we make this easy? We can really make this easy. What do you want to eat?
That's great.
So once we get something to eat, and then he comes to me, it's just kind of like a stray animal, or, you have the snack in front of you, you let them come to you, you don't try to go to them. Then you really get to hear I feel like I got to hear some really great things.
Yeah, that's great. I want to come back to a lot of that, but I think it leads me to the place of going, what are the pitfalls that you have seen or that you've felt like you've battled yourself as a parent trying to coach, lead, guide, encourage a junior golfer?
So what are the pitfalls?
Yeah.
It's just got to be pressure. I don't think that juniors are ready yet to handle pressured conversations from their parents or guardians or people in their lives that are pointed. It's hard to answer a question like, yeah, you shouldn't have 3-putted number 18, or you missed by 1. Where can you find that shot at? I think that's so much pressure,
Yeah.
It's just a game. This is a game that actually, if used correctly, is a vehicle to take you to places. You get to meet some of the greatest people and play some of the greatest golf of your life. So we don't need it to be pressure filled. I mean, I've learned from pressure this summer. I mean, my son this summer was what you would call a junior or rising senior summer. We had a bunch of colleges and universities really interested in him going and playing at the next level. And we all knew that this summer, his senior summer, was big for him. And you just saw what that did to his game. You saw how much he put into it. You saw how much pressure that he would put on himself to try to attain something that was just always at his fingertips. And then, what does that build? If you don't succeed, it just kind of builds a little scar tissue on, I got to go putt more. How much enjoyment I would love to know. And I will probably know in the future. I'd love to know how much fun he had this summer, because we traveled from Georgia to New York and playing some incredible golf courses and doing some incredible things. And I would really love to hear his answer one day of, how much fun did you have the summer of 2025? Because he missed 3 AJGA qualifiers. He missed the US Junior AM qualifier, the US AM qualifier, his state AM qualifier, and his state open qualifier, which the year before, his sophomore summer, rising junior summer, he made 4 or 5 of those things. So, just kind of that expectation, that struggle, kind of, I felt like it caught up with him. Or maybe in his reaction, maybe he put too much pressure on himself to do something instead of just knowing that the result's going to come.
Yeah. I love that answer. And as a coach, I feel like almost on maybe like about a 4-to-1 ratio that the job is to depressurize situations.
Right.
And
100%.
particularly as a parent in golf, kids put too much pressure on themselves. The game already has so much built-in ability to humiliate and to create anger and pressure that, you talk about those guardrails. I think part of those guardrails is just keeping that message that this is a game that is for fun. And, 999, if not 9,999 out of the next number will not play it for a living playing tournaments. So keep it in perspective. And, oh, by the way, if you do, you probably are going to play a lot better.
Right. Exactly. No pressure.
And that, unfortunately, often doesn't happen with parents. And I think it's often because the parents have, a real agenda associated with it.
Yeah. The ROI of golf.
Yeah. And the ROI is maybe there are plenty of situations where the ROI is, I want my son or daughter to play college golf. But I think most often it's because my son or daughter's performance is a reflection on me. And it's a reflection on, wow, I really did something to raise this kind of golfer or something. And I think that's maybe the saddest element. And I have seen it, on too many occasions where the parent feels like their obligation, their role is to drive their child. And if I don't drive the child just like a football coach would drive those players, then they won't do it. And so, my job, my role is to push the child. And if ever there were a sport in which I think that's, doesn't work, it's golf. So pressure, any other pitfalls, kind of places you feel like as a parent, just keep your distance from this?
I think it's all about fun. I think golf should be about the mental connection and the physical connection with your child to where you're going to be able to go and experience things together. The ROI is the experience that you're having together.
Like the Ryder Cup.
Like the Ryder Cup. Like
the
30,000 miles that are going to be put on my car with him in a controlled atmosphere where there's nobody else in the car except for he and my daughter. Hopefully some of the time she gets to come, she wants to come.
Yeah.
And us. And it's like phones down, uninterrupted. I remember, there's this one statistic that you've heard a lot. And it's that by the time your child is 18 years old, you will have eclipsed 80% of the time you've spent with them for your whole life.
Oh, wow.
And I'm living it. I'm living it in that car with him for 30,000 miles. And it is uninterrupted. And he doesn't have his friend. He doesn't have anybody else. It is strictly our time together. And that kind of goes into sport, I think. I think that goes into sport where you get the time to spend with each other. But golf is even more extreme because of the
Yeah.
travel.
Well, and it's more private. It's one-on-one.
Right. There's nobody else on the team. The
Yeah.
team is of one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'll have maybe the high school golf team experiences, but if you're playing at a higher level, you're going to have a lot of those, one-on-one times. And those one-on-one times, certainly what I would want to say are going to shape the image that your child has of what it was like of being your child for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
Did they feel, wow, I put so much pressure on them? Did they feel loved regardless of how they did? Did they feel encouraged by you or discouraged, by you? What are the words that your child down the line, reflecting back, would use to say about how you were with them? And
Right.
golf is unique. So there's a lot at stake at getting out of the way.
100%. 100%. So Tyler and I grew into golf because of I'm a golf professional. And as you've seen and know, golf professionals work weekends primarily, holidays, and are off kind of on the weekdays. So I remember when Tyler was born, 2-3 years old, he's getting there. It's a weekend, it's a Saturday. Well, Tyler would come with me to work early in the morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we would drive the course. We would, hit tennis balls. We didn't hit golf balls in the beginning with him. We just knocked around a tennis ball around the yard, on the practice tee, wherever we could kind of be. And then whenever he could start playing, that's whenever we started hitting golf balls and keeping our feet planted. But it was how can I get some time with my son whenever he was first born?
Yeah.
And that's where I've developed my affinity for club life, because I want my kids to come to the club so I can see them. So then I'm really all about, okay, well, the club is the greatest thing in the world. We got great food, we got a pool, and we've got a phenomenal golf course. Some of them are lucky enough to have pools and tennis courts and everything else. But if you have the basic details of club, and that, again, a club can be the Lewisburg Elks Country Club right down the road. It can be the Greenbrier Sporting Club. It can be Valley View. I'm just talking about our local demographic. Yeah. Listen, people are hanging out at each one of those differently. But differently means all in the same realm. They're there together, enjoying that atmosphere that they're projecting.
Yeah, I never really thought about that club aspect, and I'm sure there are clubs that the atmosphere and the culture is less positive than others, but there is so much opportunity, and it's outdoors. It's something that's healthier than a lot of the other options. So
right,
yeah,
right, yeah,
that's great. So we talked a little bit about the kind of parenting a junior competitive golfer. There are a much larger number of people that are trying to figure out, how do I perhaps introduce a younger child to golf? And that younger child can be, someone that's, a toddler that's, happens to love swinging a golf club a lot. And it could be someone 6, 7, 8, 10 that's showing their first level of interest in it. And you have no sense or illusion that, this is going to be a forever golfer, but you're trying to do something positive and introduce the game. How would you encourage that kind of parent?
Well, I think that if you're a parent that is is getting a junior involved in golf at an early age. It is all about fun. It is all about fun. And then for the parent, it's all about patience. Creativity creates the fun. So like I was telling you earlier, I remember around our yard, we had a big German short hair pointer dog. His name was Walker. And Walker could fetch until he would pass out, and he would drop it at your feet. It was just perfect. So Tyler and I would go around the yard hitting tennis balls. Well, Tyler would. I would just kind of have fun with it, and that's what we would do until, Tyler's 2-3 years old, until he was tired of doing it, and then when he was tired of doing it, then we're on to the next, thing. But it was having fun. And then as juniors grow, then you find their passion, you find their how they understand, and you just let them be who they are with the guardrails up around them. Make sure, like, man, there's been times whenever Tyler's trying to hit a flop shot over the house, and we know that's not right, but man, you really laugh about it in the Dad, I learned this flop shot today at Glade Springs. I'm gonna try it at the house. What are you talking about? You're gonna try it at the house? Like, we've all thought about it. We've seen Kevin Kisner do it, right?
And Bryson has done it.
Bryson's doing it. Like, that's fun, but we got to put the guardrails in. We don't want to break windows.
Yeah.
So, keeping the fun of it and then understanding it. And just, I remember coming home late from work one day, and Tyler had come out earlier in the morning, chipping and hitting golf balls. He's 7-8 years old at that time. And I pull into the house, and he's chipping the styrofoam golf balls, because we learned early that he wanted to hit golf balls into the house. So styrofoam golf balls, and he's chipping it at trees. And that was his up and down game.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, he's kind of getting into it. This is fun. Now that's me as a golf professional and a parent coming home and seeing it. Now, for the ones that are listening who are wanting some tips, it's all about fun, and it's all about patience. And I loved what Tiger Woods' father said. If my son or daughter wants to hit golf balls, the answer is always yes. Hey, can we go hit? Yes. Because they're showing you with that question that, number one, they want to do golf, and number two, they want to do golf with you.
Yeah.
Because if they're not asking you, Tommy, or me, then they're going to be asking Wheezy, or they're going to be asking, somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So when they come to you and say, hey, Dad, can we go hit golf balls? The answer is yes. Now, there might need to be some, understanding of when, because we still have to do things, but the expectation is always yes.
Yeah. Well, and I love the thought, and I think it's incredibly helpful to say, introduce a lot of creativity to it. So I remember we happened to live on a golf course, right next to it. And so we're able to get out, and there are times that we can get out that we don't have to start right at the first tee. And when Chris and Alex were young, I can remember, young, and I'm talking about 4 or 5, they were interested in it. And we would go up to the tee box, and they would tee it up, and they would hit the ball down the fairway. And immediately what they would do is they would sprint down the fairway, because that's what you do when you're playing a sport. You run, you don't walk. Right. I mean, who walks playing a game? So they would sprint down the fairway. They'd get, to their ball down the fairway, and they'd put it back up on a tee, and they'd hit it again. And they would do that until they got to the green, and then they would putt, sometimes taking their time, sometimes not. But, there was the important thing to resist the temptation to say, oh, no, you can't tee it up again. That's not allowed. No, you have to take your time when you're on the green. Oh, and that was 10 shots, not 9 or 8. and
Right,
those
right.
types of things to allow it to, to be creative in ways that kept it fun. And then they could slowly move into say, oh, well, how many strokes was that?
Right.
Down the line.
And what are we doing? We're just tightening the guardrails, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're loving golf, my daughter is a great example of this. If she's loving golf with Top Golf and teeing it up, then let's love golf with Top Golf. And then maybe we can say, hey, why don't we try to play this point game? They have the point game at Top Golf. Why don't you try to see how many points you can get? And then from there, that's whenever we're creating the element that sport brings us, which is the competition of wanting to get better. So I'm sure you did this, obviously, if nobody knows this, Alex can hit the golf ball as far as I've ever seen. So obviously you were teaching Alex, how far can you hit this thing? Because I remember our first night golf in 2016, and Alex is out here hitting night golf balls with a ping head that's not supposed to really go over 220 yards, and he's hitting it through the driving range. This golf ball is looking like a meteor, and it was just incredible. So yeah, it's just creating the competition and the integrity of it, I think.
Sure. And as you said, it's keeping it fun because, in the end, there are lots of experiences I've had with both, Chris and Alex in golf. But, one of the unique things is that ability to go on a golf trip and to play special golf courses, those things that will create memories that will last into adulthood. And some of those are actually memories that probably are more vivid in my mind than Alex and Chris's minds. So it's the opportunity for the best of life as a parent if we can keep it in perspective.
Right. We don't put that pressure into it where it's what is the ROI? Again, the ROI is our time spent with them.
Yeah. And, maybe it goes without saying, but I would say for good and bad, because none of us are perfect, our kids watch us play golf. They watch our attitudes. They watch how we manage anger. They watch whether we cut corners, when we're playing. They watch to see what is our attitude towards it. So that's something as you begin to play that, you have to own as a parent that, as much as you love the game and as much as it challenges you, you're being watched.
Right. 100%. Well, the Superman effect, our children absolutely think we are the one and only. We're the greatest at everything that we do because, they've seen us for all of their life. And to a certain point, we've been really good at everything they've seen us do.
Yeah.
And then comes that point where they're like, oh, wait, right now I'm going to Tyler's loving it when he outdrives me. Loves it. It's like, gosh, Dad, you need to get in the weight room. You need to work on some speed stuff. I'm easily putting it past you.
Yeah, I know. That day happened a long, long time ago for me.
Well, you got some pretty athletic kids. So.
Well, this is great. And I think what I hear as the overall theme is reduce the pressure and have fun. Have fun with your kids. And if you do that, the results, whatever they are meant to be, and for most, that's nothing grand, the results will take care of themselves if you just have fun and try to reduce the pressure along the way.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks. This is, it's the tip of the iceberg of the challenge of parenting our children at whatever level of golf that they come to enjoy with the game. But I think it's really helpful because you're parenting a really good golfer. You are a really good golfer. If anybody is tempted to let it get out of perspective, you're in that position. And so I think those words of just reduce the pressure and just have fun along the way and build a relationship with your child. That's, I think, what we all need to hear more and more. So thank you for those words.
Oh, Tommy, thank you. Yeah, I mean, golf gives us so many things.
It does.
I'm just happy to be a part of the game, honestly.
Yeah. It is an incredible privilege and blessing that not many people in this world have. So we should be grateful and thankful for that. Well, thanks for being a guest on Links for Life. I'm excited to share this episode, and I'm going to be up there playing golf here soon. So we'll have to hit some balls together.
Well, sounds great. And remember, just go ahead and mark your calendar for next August, our Senior Men's Club Championship. I haven't seen you in that in a couple years, so I'm going to need to go ahead and get you signed up.
Yeah.
These guys need to see you.
I'm still of the belief that it could happen for me.
Yeah. Well, we have also net and gross winners. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. That sounds good.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to this episode of Links for Life. And we got a lot of good episodes, all over the golf world coming up. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Justin. We'll be back next week.